All right. So, basically what I was suggesting, let me read it again, was that we use multiple layers of groups between the object we actually want to control and the point that we want to fix it to, which will let us manipulate our actual object while still having it follow the other object. And how that works out here, and I'll delete all this and work through it again with you, is that we've got our red cube with a controller and it can move, and we've got our blue cube with a controller and it can move. And of course, the two are parented together, but not just with like the red controller parented to the blue controller. The way I've actually done it, you can see over here in the sidebar, is that red and blue are separate from their control rigs. They're parented with no offset to these circle controls. And then on each one at the very top of that hierarchy, I have a red locator for the red one. So this would be your hand on your zombie or your hand on your soldier guy. Um, and then over here at the very bottom of the hierarchy, we have the blue locator. And this is the point on the zombie where we want the hand to naturally rest. Like if we zeroed out this rig and we said go there, that's where it would naturally go. Of course, I kind of goofed a little bit, but if we zero this back out, it'll go there. But it also means that we can make a little controller for it and slide it around, and you could even potentially constrain, lock down the channels that you can edit for this, so that this box can only move to the very corner of each thing. But as we do this, so the red box is locked to this locator, right? It has to follow it. But because, and I'll set some keys here and show you, but because of the way we have our rig arranged, we have two groups between the locator, which is constrained, and our object that we want to control. So that means that normally you wouldn't be able to like set these keys to do this. So even though it's moving in space, we're not getting this problem you have with parent constraints where as soon as you move a parented object, it snaps back to it. But that's enough rambling. Let's just build this rig. So we have a red cube and a blue cube, and those are going to keep standing in for our zombie and our soldier guy. So I'm going to make a circle, and we'll call this blue control. Duplicate it, red control, and then we're going to make a group for both of them. So we'll copy the name, Control G, and we'll call that the control group. And this lets us zero out our rig so that we can go back and say like, oh, I don't like whatever I've done. I want to set everything back to the origin or where we started in the scene. It'll all come back here. So like if I move these over now, I can hit 0 and they'll go there, or I can just select the groups and slide them over here and then select these and move them over, and then when I zero them out, they snap back over here. Alright, but that's all basic. We're not here for just simple basic. So once we have these groups figured out, we can just go ahead and select our driver and then our driven, open our constraints, check our options, make sure we are not maintaining an offset, and hit apply. And then we'll do the same thing with the red. And now when we move the red control, we move the red brick as well. So once we're here, we want to connect the red cube to the blue cube, right? We want to connect our soldier's hand to our zombie, like in our example. And just what I'm talking about with why you don't want to parent the red control group or the red control directly to the thing that you want the hand to stay on. And you can get around it with space switching and stuff, and that's fine. Space switching is totally useful and has its place, but it's when you start adding stuff like this to it where it starts getting really cool. But if I select my red control here again, my red cube just bounces right back to its controller, and we don't want that. There is a way to get around that. It's called space switching, I already mentioned. We can actually toggle the parent control off, so now if I select the red control and move it, nothing happens. If I go back to the parent constraint node and turn it on, it snaps right to it. It does go higher than 1, but it's totally binary. Any value over 1 is just 1. It's actually not. It's weighted. You can... the weeds. Anyway. So we've got these 2 rigs now that are ready for prime time, totally ready to go, but we want to staple the red rig to the blue rig. And the way we're going to do that is not by just like positioning the groups in our scene, and then we could just take the red group, parent it under the blue group, and now when we select the blue control, look, they move together. It's not what we want. So we're going to go to our rigging tab, and we're going to spawn in 2 locators. We're going to spawn in a red loc and a blue loc. I want to move these apart so that we can see what we're doing. Alright, so there's our locators. And then we can just select the red loc. Move it where we want it to be. This will be the very edge of our box. For you, it would probably be the palm of the guy's hand. Just, you know, where he's most likely to make contact with the zombie. And then where on the zombie's neck we want that palm to call home. So now for the blue locator, we're going to make another group, and we're going to call this the blue offset group, and just parent the blue locator under it. We can make another control ring for the... In fact, we will make another control ring for the locator to make it easier to select. Oh, I always do the wrong one. Down X. There we go. Scale this up so that we can see it. And then, there we go. Oh, wrong way. Blue, loc, control. And then we put that under blue control. So now we can select our box, and our locator moves with it, and that's cool. But we can also move our locator, and then move our box, and it doesn't snap, which would be bad. It's what we're avoiding, right? So here we have the red locator, and we'll do the same thing. Actually, no, we don't want to. We don't want this one to move, but you could definitely make a control ring for it if you did want to move it. Say like to the tip of a finger or something. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our red control group also under an offset group, but we're going to call it the red offset group. Then we'll take our red locator. Oh, nope. And this one is actually going to be the very top of our hierarchy. So the blue locator, the thing we're gluing to, it's the bottom of our hierarchy. And the thing that we want to follow, the thing we're gluing to, is the top of the other hierarchy. Now you would probably... you'd probably put this on top of the IK control. That wouldn't be hard. And you can do that with parent constraints too. So because you're using a rig that already exists, you're not building this into one. So what we can do is actually break the offset group apart, parent it under the locator, if I can get my head in the game. There we go. Parent, the red locator on top, red offset group. And if we had like a hand that was already in our scene, like you're working with, we'll keep these two groups separate and then just make a parent group. So now, yeah. So now we can move our red locator and we have some offset. And then if I move this, what ends up happening, if I move the control group, which you would never select, it'll snap back to the, it will snap back to the offset group, but I can move this guy and then move the offset group and nothing happens. So our rig is already working. So now all we have to do is take the select the blue locator, our driver, and then we're going to select the thing we want to drive. We want to drive the red locator, parent, and now we can select our blue ring, and we see that we can move the red box, and if we move the zombie's neck, it follows. Awesome. And if I move the hand out, let's say I want to move it up, grab the chin, something awesome, it still moves without snapping, but it's still moving with it. So you kind of have like an IK lock point space switch thing going on, but you're not stuck at just the thing that you wanted to switch space to. And then the beauty of this is you can actually key this, and easier to stay in object mode. You can key this and it doesn't break your thing. So let's say we want this red cube to stay in place, so we'll just counter animate it. And I think this works. Oh, well, it helps if you key the other thing. I'm totally doing this wrong. Yeah, so you can see we can adjust our curves there to make that prettier, but yeah, that's basically what I'm suggesting you do. You can also do a shit ton of space switching points, but that's a lot. I like this. This is nice. So yeah, I would put the blue locator under the character's neck, or not in a clavicle, so somewhere in the character's neck. Just parent it in there, either hierarchically or with a constraint. It's fine. The setting you want to have on for this is maintain offset, because we are providing our own offset groups, so we don't need it to maintain the offset for us. It doesn't work the way we want. But yeah, so that's my ramble for like 10 minutes.